a judge and this is your end.
Bodycam footage shows racist cop harassing a black judge. The $15 million fallout shocks everyone. The man at Pump 10. The scene opens with a study in contrasts that shouldn't exist but does, a cream-white Bentley Continental gleaming under fluorescent lights at Pump 10, its owner, a black man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, calmly replacing the fuel nozzle. Across the lot, Officer Marcus Rashford's patrol car rolls past a Honda sedan and a pickup truck, both with white occupants still refueling, and makes a deliberate turn toward the luxury vehicle. Before Rashford's boots touch the asphalt, his right hand has already found its resting place on his duty belt, fingers hovering near his service weapon. The body camera timestamp reads 10:28 p.m. What unfolds in the next 28 minutes will cost the city $15 million, trigger a termination, and force a police department to confront the biases it refused to acknowledge. But none of that matters yet, because in this moment, Rashford sees only what he expects to see: expensive car, black man, suspicion confirmed. What the officer doesn't know, what he won't believe even when told, is that the man standing beside that Bentley spends his days in robes instead of suits, wielding a gavel instead of a gas pump. The man he's about to detain, question, and humiliate for nearly half an hour isn't just another citizen. He's Superior Court Judge Harrison Brown, a 15-year veteran of the bench who has presided over hundreds of cases involving the very department that employs Rashford. This isn't just a traffic stop. It's a collision between two forms of authority, one earned through years of legal scholarship and public service, the other granted by a badge and a gun. And when the body camera footage goes viral 48 hours later, the world will watch in real time as one man's assumptions destroy his career, while another man's dignity sparks a movement. The encounter at Pump 10 will answer a question America keeps asking but refuses to face: what happens when the system is forced to judge itself? Rashford's flashlight beam cuts across Brown's face before the officer speaks. License and registration. No greeting. No explanation. No reasonable suspicion articulated. Just a demand delivered with the flat authority of someone who expects immediate compliance. Brown's hands move slowly, deliberately. Everything about this moment requires choreography. Reach toward the pocket too quickly, wrong move. Hesitate too long, defiance. He produces his wallet with the careful precision of a man defusing a bomb, extracting his driver's license and vehicle registration. Here you go, officer. His voice carries 15 years of courtroom composure. Rashford examines the documents under his flashlight, and Brown watches the micro-expressions flicker across the officer's face. Disbelief. Suspicion. The mental math that refuses to add up. Harrison Brown, Rashford reads aloud, then looks at the Bentley, then back at Brown's face. This your vehicle? Yes, sir. Aha. Rashford's tone drips with skepticism. And whose name is it registered under? Brown keeps his voice level. Mine. Harrison Brown. Same as the license. Rashford walks back to his patrol car, taking both documents. Through the Bentley's side mirror, Brown can see him typing into the computer mounted on his dashboard. The screen's glow illuminates Rashford's face as he runs the checks. Clean record. No warrants. Valid registration. Valid insurance. Everything the computer tells him contradicts everything his assumptions insist must be true. But instead of returning the documents and leaving, Rashford emerges from his vehicle and approaches again. So who really owns this car? Your boss. You borrowing it for the night? Brown's internal monologue screams what his external voice cannot. I've seen this 100 times. Different defendant. Same presumption. Guilty until proven innocent. Black until proven legitimate. He thinks of Marcus Williams, who testified about being stopped 6 times in his own neighborhood. He thinks of Kevin Thompson, pulled over for matching a description that matched half the city. He's sentenced men for less than what's happening to him right now at Pump 10. It's my vehicle, officer, Brown repeats, each word measured. Purchased and registered in my name. Rashford's jaw works silently, chewing on a reality he refuses to swallow. Brown calculates his next move with the same precision he uses when ruling on admissibility of evidence. Offer information that might de-escalate. Establish credibility. Appeal to professional courtesy. Officer, I should mention, I'm a superior court judge. I work at the downtown courthouse. The body camera captures what happens next with brutal clarity. Rashford doesn't process this information with surprise or embarrassment. He laughs. It's not a chuckle or a polite acknowledgement. It's a full, contemptuous laugh that echoes across the gas station forecourt. You're telling me you're a judge? Rashford's tone mixes disbelief with mockery. Right. And I'm the governor. Next you're gonna tell me you're best friends with the chief of police. Brown reaches slowly into his jacket's inner pocket. I have my judicial identification card. I can show you. Keep your hands where I can see them. Rashford's hand drops to his belt again, and Brown freezes. The message is clear, any movement, even to prove innocence, might be interpreted as aggression. Officer, I'm just trying to provide additional identification to verify. What you're trying to do is talk your way out of this, Rashford interrupts. I've heard every story. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm somebody important. You know what desperate people do? They lie about who they are. Brown's hands return to his sides, visible and still. The body camera captures his expression in the harsh LED light, and it's not what most people would expect. There's no anger twisting his features. No indignation flashing in his eyes. Instead, there's something far more devastating, profound, bone-deep disappointment. This is the face of a man watching the system he's devoted 15 years to serving reveal its fundamental corruption. He's ruled on constitutional violations, suppressed evidence obtained through unlawful stops, cited department policy in 100 opinions. And here, standing beside his own vehicle at a public gas station, none of it matters. Officer, please just run my name through your judicial database, Brown says quietly. Harrison Brown. Superior Court, Division 7. Rashford shakes his head, still smirking. I'm sure that'll check out. Right after your ownership of the Brooklyn Bridge. Time becomes a weapon. Rashford returns to his patrol car and stays there, 5 minutes, then 10, then 15. Brown stands beside his Bentley, the fuel nozzle long since returned to its cradle, the transaction completed, the receipt printed and tucked into his wallet. There's no legal justification for detaining him further. But legality, Brown is learning, becomes optional when authority is challenged by the wrong complexion. The body camera timestamp advances, 10:33 p.m., 10:38 p.m., 10:42 p.m. Rashford runs Brown's information through NCIC, the state warrant database, the DMV records, the criminal history system. Every search returns the same result, no record. Not even a parking ticket. 15 years of absolute compliance with every law he's sworn to uphold. A Honda Accord pulls up to the adjacent pump. A white woman in yoga pants exits, swipes her card, fills her tank, and drives away. Total time, 4 minutes. Brown remains standing, hands visible, breathing controlled. Another vehicle arrives, a pickup truck with 2 white men. They complete their transaction and leave. Brown is still standing there. He watches other patrons come and go, living their lives with the casual freedom he's been temporarily denied. None of them get questioned. None of them get detained. None of them stand under fluorescent lights wondering if reaching for their phone might be misinterpreted as reaching for a weapon. The rational part of Brown's mind, the part that reviews evidence and applies precedent, knows exactly what's happening. This is Terry versus Ohio without reasonable suspicion. This is the Fourth Amendment rendered meaningless. This is every case he's ever heard about prolonged detention without cause, except now he's the defendant instead of the judge. Rashford emerges from his vehicle again at 10:47 p.m., 19 minutes into an encounter that should have lasted 2. He approaches Brown with the same documents, but his demeanor has shifted. The computer confirmed everything Brown said was true, and that truth has made Rashford angrier, not apologetic. Everything checks out, Rashford says, as if this simple fact is somehow suspicious. But I'm still not satisfied with your story. Brown's heart pounds against his ribs, but his voice remains steady. What story would satisfy you, officer? Brown has presided over hundreds of preliminary hearings, listened to thousands of hours of testimony about police procedures, and memorized Department General orders line by line. He knows his rights with the precision of someone who spent a career defending them. So he makes a request that any citizen is entitled to make, using the same calm tone he employs when addressing counsel. Officer, may I have your name and badge number, please? The shift in Rashford's demeanor is instantaneous and volcanic. His shoulders square. His jaw clenches. The casual condescension drains from his expression, replaced by something darker, hostility that suggests Brown has crossed an invisible line from nuisance to threat. You don't need my badge number. Rashford's voice drops an octave, each word clipped and hard. Department policy states that officers must provide their name and badge number upon request during any law enforcement contact. Brown could recite the policy manual chapter and verse. He's quoted it in suppression hearings, referenced it in civil rights cases, relied on it when ruling on qualified immunity. I'm simply exercising my right to. You're not in charge here. Rashford steps closer, and Brown recognizes the tactic. It's an assertion of dominance through proximity, a physical manifestation of authority designed to intimidate. I don't answer to you. Brown doesn't retreat, but neither does he advance. He holds his ground with the quiet dignity of someone who knows the law is on his side, even when the lawman isn't. I'm not suggesting you answer to me. I'm making a lawful request under your department's own policy. Policy General Order 3.12, Section 4, if you'd like to verify. Oh, so now you're a lawyer too? Rashford's laugh returns, but this time it carries an edge. Judge, lawyer, car owner, legal expert, you're just full of credentials tonight, aren't you? I'm simply asking for your badge number. And I'm simply telling you that if you keep running your mouth, I'll cite you for loitering. Rashford gestures at the gas pump. You're done fueling. You've got no business standing here. That's a citable offense. Brown feels the absurdity of the threat wrap around him like a straitjacket. Loitering at a gas station where he's a paying customer. Loitering while being unlawfully detained. The irony would be laughable if it weren't terrifying. Officer Rashford, Brown reads the nameplate on the uniform, committing it to memory, I'm being detained by you. I can't leave until you release me. Threatening me with a loitering citation for complying with your own detention is. It's whatever I say it is. Brown's right hand moves toward his jacket pocket with glacial slowness, every muscle telegraphing intention. I'm reaching for my phone, he announces clearly, his eyes locked on Rashford's. My phone is in my right pocket. I'm going to retrieve it now. Rashford's hand drops to his duty belt instinctively, hovering near the grip of his service weapon. Keep your hands where I can see them. My phone is a legal recording device, Brown continues, his voice carrying the measured authority of 15 years on the bench. I'm entitled to record this encounter. He extracts his phone with 2 fingers, holding it up like evidence before a jury. The screen illuminates his face as he activates the voice recorder app. Brown speaks directly into the microphone, his tone shifting into something between testimony and documentation. This is Harrison Brown. It is currently 10:51 p.m. on Friday evening. I am at the Ultra Assis gas station on Ridgemont Boulevard, Pump 10. I completed a fuel purchase approximately 23 minutes ago. Officer Rashford, badge number still not provided, has detained me without articulating reasonable suspicion or probable cause. I have provided my driver's license and vehicle registration. All documents have been verified as legitimate. The officer has refused my lawful request for his badge number and is now threatening to cite me for loitering at a business establishment I am lawfully patronizing while being unlawfully detained. Each word lands with the weight of precedent. Brown isn't just recording, he's building a record. Evidence. Testimony. The foundation of a case that doesn't exist yet but will. Rashford's face flushes red in the fluorescent light. Put that phone away. I'm exercising my First Amendment right to record a law enforcement officer performing his public duties. Brown keeps the phone raised, recording everything. This is established law under Glick v. Cuniff, Turner v. Driver, and numerous circuit court decisions. I said put it away. Rashford reaches for his radio, and Brown hears the moment everything escalates. Dispatch, this is Unit 47. I need backup at Ultra Assis, Ridgemont and 5th. I have an uncooperative subject who's refusing to comply. Brown's voice remains steady as he speaks into his phone. Officer Rashford is now calling for backup after I exercised my right to record. I have been cooperative throughout this entire encounter. Within 3 minutes, the gas station transforms into a light show. 2 patrol cars arrive, their emergency lights strobing red and blue across the concrete, turning the mundane scene into something that looks like a crime in progress. Brown stands perfectly still beside his Bentley, phone recording, bearing witness to his own persecution. The sergeant who emerges from the first backup unit is in his mid-50s, with gray threading through his close-cropped hair and the bearing of someone who's seen enough to know when a situation has spiraled unnecessarily. Officer Jenkins, according to his nameplate, is younger, maybe late 20s, and his body camera adds a third angle to the scene unfolding at Pump 10. Rashford approaches them before they reach Brown, his voice low but urgent, setting the narrative before anyone else can. Brown watches the huddle, recognizing the tactic from 1,000 trials. Control the story first, and truth becomes an uphill battle. The sergeant breaks from the huddle and approaches Brown with a professional courtesy that Rashford never offered. Sir, I'm Sergeant Williams. Can you tell me what's going on here? I'm Judge Harrison Brown, Superior Court, Division 7. Brown's voice carries across the forecourt with the same authority it carries from the bench. I stopped to refuel my vehicle approximately 28 minutes ago. Officer Rashford detained me without reasonable suspicion, questioned the legitimacy of my ownership of this vehicle, refused to accept my identification as valid, mocked my professional credentials, refused to provide his badge number when lawfully requested, threatened me with a loitering citation for complying with his own detention, and called for backup when I exercised my constitutional right to record this encounter. Sergeant Williams's expression shifts, a subtle tightening around his eyes that suggests recognition. Judge Brown? From the downtown courthouse? That's correct. The sergeant glances back at Rashford, and Brown sees the flash of realization, this is real. This is a superior court judge. This is about to become a problem. But instead of de-escalating, instead of apologizing and releasing Brown immediately, Williams makes a choice that the body cameras will capture for posterity. He defers. Officer Rashford, you initiated this stop. What's your assessment? Rashford has committed now, his narrative locked in. Backing down would mean admitting he was wrong, and some people would rather burn their careers to the ground than admit error. Subject was acting suspiciously. Gave inconsistent statements. Became uncooperative when questioned. Started making claims about being a judge, which I found to be evasive behavior. When I attempted to conduct a thorough investigation, he became hostile and started recording, attempting to intimidate me. Brown listens to his own character assassination and thinks of every defendant who's stood before him claiming the same thing: the officer lied. The officer twisted everything. The officer made me sound like a criminal when all I did was exist. He always believed them in principle, weighed their testimony against the evidence. But now he knows. Officer Jenkins says nothing, but his camera catches him exchanging glances with the sergeant, uncertain, uncomfortable glances that suggest he recognizes the absurdity but lacks the rank or courage to challenge it. At 10:56 p.m., 28 minutes after this encounter began, Sergeant Williams finally delivers the words Brown has been waiting for. "You're free to go, sir." No citation materialized. No arrest occurred. No apology was offered. Just a dismissal, as if Brown's time, as if Brown's dignity, holds no value worth acknowledging. Rashford stands beside his patrol car, arms crossed, watching Brown with undisguised resentment. The younger officer avoids eye contact entirely. Brown pockets his phone, the recording still active, documenting every second until he's safely inside his vehicle. He starts the Bentley's engine, and the dashboard clock reads 10:57 p.m. 28 minutes stolen from his life. 28 minutes that proved what he's always suspected but never wanted to confirm. The robe protects him in the courtroom, but on the street, he's just another black man who needs to prove he deserves to breathe free air. But instead of pointing the Bentley toward his home in the suburbs, Brown makes a different turn. His hands grip the steering wheel tighter as he navigates the empty streets toward downtown, toward the courthouse that stands dark and silent on a Friday night. He uses his judicial keycard to access the building, his footsteps echoing through marble corridors as he climbs to the third floor. His chambers smell of leather and old books, the familiar scent of a sanctuary that suddenly feels less safe than it did this morning. Brown doesn't turn on the overhead lights. He sits at his desk illuminated only by the lamp, opens his laptop, and begins typing. Complaint for civil rights violations. Harrison Brown, plaintiff versus Officer Marcus Rashford and the City Police Department, defendants. His fingers move across the keyboard with the same precision he uses when drafting opinions. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's litigated civil rights cases, reviewed qualified immunity claims, balanced the interests of law enforcement against constitutional protections. But knowledge is different from experience, and tonight's experience gave him something his law degree never could: standing. The sun rises over the city before Brown finishes. His coffee has gone cold. His suit jacket hangs on the back of his chair. His eyes burn from screen glare and exhaustion. But when his attorney, Marcus Chen, answers his phone at 6:47 a.m. on Saturday morning, Brown's voice carries absolute certainty. "Marcus, I need you to file something for me Monday morning. $15 million. Federal civil rights violation. And Marcus, I need the body camera footage. All of it. By Monday at 9 a.m., the complaint is filed. By Monday at 4:30 p.m., the body camera footage is released through discovery. By Tuesday morning, it's viral, shared across social media platforms, dissected by legal commentators, viewed by millions. The man in the expensive suit. The officer with his hand on his weapon. 28 minutes of injustice captured in high definition. The city's legal team operates with the efficiency of people trying to contain a forest fire with a garden hose. The first settlement offer arrives within 72 hours of the footage going viral. Brown sits in Marcus Chen's office, reading the proposal with the same analytical eye he uses when reviewing plea agreements. $3 million, Chen reads aloud, tapping his pen against the document. Full confidentiality agreement. No admission of wrongdoing. Rashford keeps his job with mandatory retraining. The footage stays sealed. Brown's laugh is bitter. So they want to pay me to disappear. That's exactly what they want. Chen leans back in his chair. Harrison, I have to present this to you. It's a significant amount of money. You could. No. The word cuts through the room like a gavel strike. How many settlements like this do you think we've both seen? How many confidentiality agreements have buried the exact same story? Different victim, same pattern, same outcome. Silence purchased for the price of taxpayer dollars. Chen knows better than to argue when Brown uses that tone. I'll reject it. The city increases the offer to $5 million within a week. Then $7 million. Each time, they include the same conditions: confidentiality, no admission of wrongdoing, footage sealed forever. Each time, Brown's answer is identical. The city's attorneys can't comprehend it. They arrange a meeting, brown mahogany conference table, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the financial district, 3 lawyers in suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The lead counsel, Patricia Morrison, has the exasperated expression of someone who's never encountered a plaintiff who won't take money. Judge Brown, let me be frank. $7 million is an extraordinary offer. It represents the city's desire to resolve this matter amicably and avoid the expense of litigation. And avoid accountability, Brown adds. Morrison's smile doesn't reach her eyes. We're offering you life-changing money. Money that could secure your retirement, your children's education, your family's future. Why drag this through a trial that could last months? Why subject yourself to cross-examination and public scrutiny? Because I've watched too many cases just like mine get buried under confidential settlements. Brown's voice remains calm, but his eyes are steel. I've presided over civil rights cases where the plaintiff took the money and signed the agreement, and 6 months later, the same officer violated someone else's rights. Different victim, same predator, no consequences. That cycle ends here. Chen speaks up, his role as advocate requiring him to present all options. My client doesn't want money. He wants accountability. He wants Officer Rashford terminated. He wants department-wide reforms. He wants the public to see what happened at Pump 10 so it's harder for it to happen at Pump 11. Morrison sets down her pen with visible frustration. Everyone has a price, Judge Brown. You're right, Brown agrees. And mine is justice. Actual justice, not the sanitized version you're selling. So here's my counteroffer, see you in court. The trial of Brown versus Rashford lasts 6 days, but the verdict is determined in the first 90 minutes when the jury watches the body camera footage. Not once. Not twice. 3 times they request to see it, and each viewing reveals new layers of injustice that the initial shock might have obscured. The jury composition reflects the city's diversity: 5 white jurors, 4 black, 2 Hispanic, 1 Asian American. They range in age from 24 to 67, in occupation from a retired teacher to a software engineer. What unites them is the shared experience of watching something that cannot be unseen. Brown testifies on day 3, taking the stand in the same courtroom where he usually sits elevated behind the bench. The reversal of position is jarring but necessary. His attorney walks him through the encounter minute by minute. Judge Brown, at what point during this encounter did you fear for your safety? The moment Officer Rashford's hand moved toward his weapon. I've presided over use of force cases. I know that statistically, encounters escalate in seconds. I know that reaching for my wallet could be misinterpreted as reaching for a weapon. I know that even perfect compliance doesn't guarantee survival. Brown's voice cracks slightly. I went home that night and had to explain to my 15-year-old son why his father, a man with a law degree, a judicial robe, 15 years of public service, got detained at a gas station for the crime of owning a nice car while black. And you know what broke my heart? He wasn't surprised. He just nodded and said, "Dad, that's why I'm scared to drive." The courtroom is silent except for the sound of one juror quietly crying. The defense calls Rashford to the stand, and he maintains his narrative with the stubbornness of someone who's convinced his own lies. I was conducting a legitimate investigation based on suspicious behavior. What behavior was suspicious? Brown's attorney asks. The expensive vehicle. The late hour. The subject's demeanor. So being black, well-dressed, and driving a Bentley at night is suspicious? I didn't say that. But that's what you meant, isn't it, Officer Rashford? The jury deliberates for 14 hours. When they return, the forewoman, a 62-year-old white woman who taught high school civics for 34 years, reads the verdict with a steady voice. We, the jury, find in favor of the plaintiff, Harrison Brown, and award damages in the amount of $15 million. The courtroom erupts. Rashford's face drains of color. Brown closes his eyes and exhales a breath he's been holding since October. Within the week, Officer Marcus Rashford is terminated. His appeal is denied. His law enforcement certification is permanently revoked. Brown holds a press conference on the courthouse steps, cameras capturing him in the same charcoal suit he wore at Pump 10. This was never about the money. This was about ensuring that what happened to me becomes harder to do to anyone else. Today, I'm announcing that $10 million of this settlement will establish the Pump 10 Legal Defense Fund, providing free legal representation for victims of police misconduct. $3 million will fund implicit bias training programs. The remaining $2 million will support civilian oversight initiatives. He looks directly into the cameras, speaking to every person who's ever been profiled, dismissed, or told their experience didn't matter. This is your victory too. This is accountability. This is change. And this is just the beginning. 6 months later, the police department implements sweeping reforms, mandatory bias training, revised investigative stop policies, body camera review boards, and a civilian oversight commission with subpoena power. Judge Harrison Brown returns to his courtroom, where he continues hearing cases involving police conduct, but now, when defendants claim they were profiled, he listens with an understanding that transcends legal theory. He knows, firsthand, what it means to be presumed guilty until proven innocent, regardless of the robes you wear or the car you drive.